Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Seal.
This all makes me very sad because it's been, a privilege to serve Pinellas County all these years. It's been a privilege to be part of this board. We purposely went forward with great decorum and respect for one another, even with differing opinions. I often have been called a Pollyanna, always wanting to think the best of each person, and I would continue to be characterized that way, I suppose, because it's just the greatest privilege to be able to serve the public. And I've always wanted to make sure that I took the high road, that I did the right thing, and, this all just makes me very sad. I mean, I feel like what's been stated earlier, that will we be vetoed $30 million? Probably, if this is the case. And that personally disturbs me a lot. Do I feel like this in general, this is one thing against home rule, it's already been stated. Does this lead into another and another and another? Are we going to continue to see our rights erode as a county and as a charter county? My dad actually was on the Charter Review Committee when they wrote the county charter. Factoid, history. So I would respect any judicial decision. I think I am going to register a voting conflict. I have talked extensively with Joel, and I want to make sure that I don't, do anything that would give me any special position or privilege. But I would be very respectful of what a judge thought of this particular act. And so therefore, that's kind of where I'm at the present time. I want to thank you really for your kind remarks. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Well, I think, as we heard Thursday from our attorney, this is clearly an illegal local bill. It isn't a general bill, but legislation typically has severability clauses, which will allow the rest of the bill to go forward, even if a provision is found to be unconstitutional or inappropriate. I don't think the dais is necessarily the place to get into the bare knuckle politics that we know that are behind this legislation. I don't believe for a minute that the redistricting lines, whether they were changed or not, would have impacted the legislation in Tallahassee. I think there would have been another criteria found. We're all trying to be nice and not say it, and I think that's probably appropriate here, but we all know why this legislation came about. And so I think today it could be on, and the voters had a say. The voters elected our two commissioners for a 4-year term. And now the Tallahassee wants to say, no, it was a 2-year term. If they wanted to put that forth for the next redistricting, that would be completely appropriate. But to do it in the middle of a term, to say that the power of the state can come in and cut a term of a local official in half just because they can, is really, really dangerous, I believe. So we don't have a motion on the floor. We have one commissioner who said that she will recuse. I don't know what your decision is, but we don't have a motion. If there is interest in granting our attorney authority to challenge this, we would need to have that in the form of a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we give our legal attorney permission to, legal attorney and the department to challenge the validity of the section that pertains specifically to Pinellas County for purposes of single-member districts.
We have a motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Long. Attorney White, is that a language enough of what you need?
What I would suggest is that you just, again, direct us to file suit with any cause of action that we deem legally appropriate.
And
Commissioner Flowers?
directing our legal department to file suit following any cause of action that they deem appropriate.
Seconder, Commissioner Long? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Long. Further discussion? The clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote. And it passes 4-2. Thank you very much. Any other committee updates or other new business from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Flowers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, we were supposed to approve legal counsel for the insurance component piece. That was supposed to come under new business. And I see that, I think when we got to the bylaw piece, you may have thought that all encompassed it. So if we could please go back to new business and we could introduce.
We are in new business, so you are timely.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. The new business item is for counsel related to the insurance coverage for Career Source. We do have Mr. Stephen Meyer here today. As I shared with you all in the workshop, we had a special ad hoc committee meeting where we looked at retaining outside counsel because there was a conflict with our current attorney, Stephanie Marchman, and her firm. And so we voted through the ad hoc committee, and on Monday had a conference call where it was also unanimous that we secure outside counsel, outside general counsel of Mr. James J. Dean and Robert A. McNeely of the law firm Mercer Caparello. And again, it is in regards to the insurance coverage deemed whether the final disallowed cost of $1.8 million and change from the DOL for compliance. And just to reiterate, that was unfortunately the misdoings of the executive director, not the misdoings of the county commissioner who chaired the board of Career Source at that time. So,
Is that a motion?
yes.
Motion by Commissioner Flowers,
Oh, second.
second by Commissioner Gerard. Further discussion? Clerk will open the board. Commissioners will proceed to vote.
And for the record, the attorney did say he would call in if there was any questions of him and his firm because they're not located here.
Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Any further new business or committee reports? Commissioner Seal.
Just real quick, wanted to give you a quick report on Forward Pinellas, and just really two good news is that we will be having two awards from Forward Pinellas, $35,000 for the Whitney Road Complete Streets Planning Project, and then $966,000 for the 62nd Avenue North Complete Streets Construction Project. So that's been long talked about in the Lilman area, and so that is going to move forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard.
Just that the Health and Human Services Leadership Council, or whatever, yeah, they keep changing their name, had decided at their last meeting, which met last week, to suspend meeting until we actually have an issue we need to talk about. We've had some very good presentations about what's going on, but there's really not a need to convene that group unless there's an issue. It seems like every time they meet, we end up paying for something anyway, so. You know, if there is an issue that comes up, it's easy enough to reconvene that council. That's all.
And I do want to make a comment. I know Commissioner Egger said something the other day, but the reason I wasn't at the leadership board meeting was a very dear friend, Jerry Fergursky, passed away. And he nobly served this county and the city of Clearwater and many, many not-for-profits, including the Arc of Tampa Bay, so boldly, so bravely, so well. And I was at his funeral celebration, and Mr. Commissioner Akers was there as well.
Thank you,
you.
Commissioner. Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to let you all know that at our T-Barter meeting last Friday, we came to know that our monetary contribution to T-Barter has been not quite allocated properly, and it all came about as a result of a conversation that the city of Tampa has decided they're not going to participate with T-BARTA financially anymore. And from that discussion, we learned that Pinellas County has been actually paying for the cost of the entire county, even though the city of St. Petersburg was also paying for their residents. And so Hillsborough is going through the same thing with their formula. And so we have asked that the Finance Committee readdress the formula and how that's all calculated. But at the end of the day, Pinellas County is going to have less of a appropriation to contribute, number one. And number two, I have asked the executive director to please make sure that he is talking to the commissions and the boards of all of the partners that make up the T-BARTA, because we're all supposed to be contributing for the benefit of regional transportation solutions to move our entire region forward. And it just doesn't sit very well if one entity decides to just arbitrarily pluck themselves out of it, even though statutorily they are supposed to be part of the group. I mean, if every one of us decided to do the same thing, we'd never be able to move the region forward. So I hope that, Mr. Chair, you'll work hard to get him on the agenda between now and when we finalize our budget, please. And I'm sure Barry and I will be discussing it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Peters.
Oh, thank you. PSTA meets tomorrow, so I don't have an update on that. Usually Commissioner Gerard does because she chairs it, but there's something coming soon. Our medical examiner's office contacted me a couple months ago through a committee meeting that we are on together, and we have a new drug on the street that's more dangerous than fentanyl, and it's a nitazene category. And so nitazines are not illegal, and therefore if somebody dies, we can't prosecute like we do for fentanyl. And nitazene is proven to be worse, more dangerous than fentanyl. I reached out to Attorney General Ashley Moody and her staff. We've spoken twice about this. Her office contacted me about a press release, so they will be doing something soon. Just in the first couple months of this year, we lost 8 people to nitazenes, but we don't know how many. It's another drug that's being entered into street drugs. So just like fentanyl and carfentanil and the analogs to all of that were entered into the street drugs, whether it was ecstasy or heroin or whatever it is, now they're putting nitazenes. Nitazenes are not illegal in the United States, Florida, Asia, or wherever they're coming from. So Attorney General, I believe the announcement will be, look for it, I'm thinking it's next week. I haven't gotten a solid date for sure. They'll be announcing that they'll be doing something, and I'm hoping that that will be the process of outlawing. When fentanyl was really horrible, we had a lot of the carfentanyls, and like 2 grains would kill someone. We stopped seeing a lot of that once China outlawed it in their country. And so I think this is just going to have to go down the same path as we have with other analogs with drugs that enter our street drugs. So just kind of watch out for it. I'm not sure if it's next week or not, but it's really important to, law enforcement and the work that they do, and the medical examiner's office and the work that they do. The street drugs are very dangerous. They're just very dangerous. And, unfortunately, we had college students that got Adderall to cram for a test and they lost their life. And so it's not just, people's perception of what a drug abuser is. That's really not what it is. And so now there's a new drug on the street. It's in the nitazene family, just like fentanyl's family, and so just watch for the announcement. I'm excited that she's taken fast action, because I only reached out to her maybe a month ago, so it's been pretty quick. So I'm excited that at least that's
Are
coming
other
out.
counties in the state seeing the same thing? Do you
Yes,
know?
yes. And actually it was, I think it was Illinois or Indiana that had the most reported deaths in a very short period of time. It wasn't even Florida, but we did have 8 in Pinellas County. So, just FYI, different topic.
Thank you very much.
Just a
Commissioner
quick
Eggers.
question. Jewel, on the item that we took action on a few minutes ago, is there any issue at all with us not noticing this anywhere in the agenda? It wasn't on, it wasn't listed, you know, we have those things at the end where we put down the items that commissioners want to talk and bring up. And whenever we have a lawsuit that we consider, it is on your, you know, on that report. It's nowhere near on that. And I do remember a couple people calling in saying, or checking in saying that, you know, they were wondering about that, and they said, well, it's not even on the agenda. So it just struck me, and I should have asked it before the vote, but I just want to make sure that, you know, that issue, I mean, it's relevant to me. It was brought up today on other agendas that perhaps it wasn't publicized properly, so.
There's not a specific requirement for a specific agenda for sunshine meetings. And actually, in our meeting earlier, I wrote down as a note to cover that in your training this year. But the sunshine law, while it directs that there be notice and access, there is no requirement for a specific agenda laying out every topic of discussion.
Very strange. So it's, again, ways to notify our residents actions that we may be taking. Okay, thank you. That makes no sense.
Anything further? All right, we're in recess till 6 p.m.